Hello everyone, it's tank review time. Now, if you've been following our channel for a while, you know that we do this once a year for quite a few years now. You guys send in your aquarium, well, a photo of it, and I let you know what I think about it. So, let's see what you guys came up since last summer. Now, before we begin, there are a few things to clarify. First of all, if you see this now and you want to send in your tank, I'm sorry, you're too late for this year. Follow us on social media because that's where we post about all these things. All I'm going to say today about these tanks is my personal opinion. You don't have to like it, you don't have to agree. The people who sent in their photos, they are interested in what I think about their work. If you have sent in your tank and it's not in the video, I'm sorry about that. We have received over 300 tanks to review. Obviously, we can't go through all of them. Something that comes up every year in the comments after the release of the video is things like I'm rude and I don't respect the time that people put into an effort they put into making these tanks. That's not true. I respect all the time and effort, but people have sent in their work to know what I think, to get better. And to get better, I can tell you what's wrong. I'm sure that everyone who sent in their tanks, they've probably seen some of these videos before, so they know what to expect. If you get offended without even being in the video, it's not even your tank, then I don't see the point of that. So yeah, if I offend anyone, I'm sorry, but this is how I operate. Now, I think we've cleared up everything we need to, so let's get into it. So here's one from Adam. You see all the info I have. I actually quite like it. What I can add is what is a bit strange for me, but it might be on purpose. I can actually draw things, is the part in the middle. For me, it's a bit strange that it's closed off here at the end. The part itself is not sand, it's not plants, I don't actually know what it is. But if that was a bit clearer, I would prefer that. I would remove this piece of rock and I would actually lead up the sand. I like that there are rocks in there, so it's not a straight line. That's actually very good. Just the shape I drew, I would actually cover that with sand. Plants seem to be in a nice condition, except for some of these small anubiases. There is some BBA here on the top, not a lot, but this is the time to catch the problem, so clean it off now, because later on that can cause you issues. I love how you've used the depth, so it's not a normal 60p, it's 40 centimeter deep, and it's visible because of all the layers of plants. So that is how you use a deep tank. Use more layers of plants, not just layers in general. It's very nice to see the diversion of the plants going towards the back. Insane work with the rotalas. I like the scape itself, I like the placement of the wood and how it all connects. I could imagine it being a bit more playful, like this connection here is, I think it shouldn't connect, and you could add a lot more of these. So like having the wood pieces coming across, like one of them from the right, the other one from the left. Having rotalas like this, if this is not just done for the photo and then they died out 2 minutes later, if you can actually keep them this short all the time, just topping, letting them grow and then topping them back again, it's a lot of work and something that I love to see and something I would never do because I just don't have the time for this, but I respect when someone can do it. Here's one from Jorel. I'm sorry if I butcher your names, guys. Not much to add to the scape. If I really want to be picky, then I should mention this. Well, my drawing is even worse than the actual leveling of the soil, but that's what I try to show you. So how should I be more precise for this? This should be a straight, it's getting worse. It should be a straight line. you get my point. It's important in every kind of tank, but especially in a minimalistic look. I see that you've tried to do the hill on the left and you try to make like a dip, a valley on the right side, and then the soil comes up again, which is very, very good. But you should make sure that you only do this behind the front line of the soil. This is something that's not important at all, but your tank would be a lot nicer with glass in and outlets. I know this tank, I've seen this tank many times. This is from our friend 80, and I've been actually afraid that this tank is gonna come up. Every time I see this layout, something is off for me, but I can't put my finger on it. My guess is that it's too much in the middle. What the rules basically say is you have water coming in, water flow coming in. You have a rock surface that actually makes it lead up, and then you have it like swirling back the other way around. This is physics, that's water flow, that's perfectly normal. You have this rock to lead the water up and do the swirl, and you have this rock which would have then been tilted by this water movement. But I'm missing something here. This is very much in the middle. This doesn't help the situation of it all being in the middle. What I would try is move the big rock here. So I'm trying to replicate the rock that's in the middle. I would move that towards the right. Then this whole thing here, that would move towards the right as well. And then I would have space for these, or maybe even another rock that's not even in the layout at the moment, to be here somehow. Still, nice layout. So I'm now being picky on your level. You can do better than this. That's how I would put it. I assume, based on the photo, that this tank has active soil on the bottom. Now, active soil should always be covered with plants. Water flow, it's constantly breaking the surface of your active soil, which creates debris that is floating all around your tank, and your tank is going to be full of algae. If you have space where you don't want plants, in that space use sand, gravel, whatever, decoration, not active soil. All this I like. This destroys the rest. This type of grass is way too high for this layout. Throw all of this out and have the whole front, this area, planted properly with some small carpeting plant. It could be Monte Carlo, it could be Aquarius Mini. It doesn't really matter if it's rounded leaves or it's grass type, but it should be small. I talked about this empty space, uncovered soil. It's even worse because I assume that this is actually substrate that's visible on top of your soil. That's going to cause even more algae issues. I see that you have carpet growing here. I just don't understand why all this is not planted the same way it should be. All these rotalas, they are not having a good time. I don't know what it is. It might be your light is not powerful enough, you don't have CO2, your water might be too hard. It's impossible to say from one picture. The idea itself, the layout itself, could be really nice. For first tank, congratulations, it's very nice. What's even better is the fact that it's just 12 liters. Please keep doing this because you are good at it. Get a new glass that is done with clear silicone, not black one, and is better quality in general, and maybe an external filter if you can fit it. I never understood layout where half of it is completely built, half of it is completely empty. Looking at the right side where all the plants are, it's very, very nice. It's very natural. I love how you've mixed a bunch of different plants. Do the same on the other side and have a V shape. It'd be so much better. I told you that if you don't follow the rules, then your email is gonna be discarded. And I have a tank in front of me, which you guys don't see because I don't have a size and I don't have a name and I don't have an age for the tank. But it's actually a very nice tank. And lucky for you, you've sent another email with the information. So I really like all the details. So the hardscape work, the placement of the rocks, the small bits of roots coming across, all that makes perfect sense. What I don't like that much, or what I would slightly improve on this angle, this thing is too flat on the top. I see that this one is slightly higher than the other side, but it's not enough for me. First of all, this one, I would trim it to be a bit more curved than it is. Then it's nice to have the dip on here. And this one should come up like this and maybe even come out to the side.
Sorry for interrupting the video, I'll be quick, I promise. We just wanted to tell you about our YouTube membership program, because if you enjoy what we do here, this is one of the best ways to support the channel. So we've got 3 tiers: the silver, the gold, and the diamond. Silver is basically the buy us a coffee every month tier. Very kind, very appreciated, very caffeinated. But gold is where things get really interesting. Gold and diamond members get early access to our Thursday videos already on Monday. So you can watch them before everyone else, hang out with us in the comments, and feel slightly superior for 3 whole days. You'll also get monthly exclusive blooper reels, plus early info about Green Aqua sales, workshop events, and other stuff before we announce it publicly. So if you'd like to support the channel and get a few nice perks while you're at it, check out the join button below. And just to be clear, our regular videos are not going anywhere. If you choose not to join our membership, you'll still be able to watch the main Green Aqua content for free, just like before. And now, back to the video, which is, unlike me, much more interesting to look at.
This is interesting. This is going against stuff that we talk about sometimes. Still, on some level, it works. That this piece of rock is laying flat and all the textures are going this way, and then you have these rocks standing up basically and crashing with the texture, this one as well. If you bring those out more towards the front, a lot more, you leave this piece here as it is, then you can create a gap in between where I would recommend having visible plants in between the 2 layers of hardscape, and maybe then it could work, because there's something intriguing about this. And also this one is facing this way and this one is facing the same way, the big one in the back, so those 2 together make sense. The rotalas don't fit this layout for me. I would go with more green. I would go with probably carpeting plants, like grass type plants, that would fit the front of the layout much more. I like the idea. I think there is a lot more to this. You could improve this scape a lot. Okay, I like the wildness of this one. Lots of different plants mixed in and just letting them go crazy. The only thing is that there is one heavy piece of hardscape on one side and the whole other side is empty. Even though there are plants, obviously the tank itself is not empty, but the whole thing is out of balance because there's nothing to outweigh the hardscape. I would go for some kind of wood shape like this. I wouldn't go up here. I wouldn't have it high. Basically to balance these out, so the other side of those branches coming across to this side. Once again, soil should be covered. You have the water flow coming from the back. This rock pushes it back down, which pushes this rock to tilt, and then it's going that way. The texture of this rock doesn't support the story of that flow. The outer shape of the rock is good, but these bumps, these wouldn't be here if the flow would hit the rock in that direction. Minimalism only works if every single aspect is perfect. Such a small detail can destroy the good things about them. And one more small thing, these 2 rocks are in the same position compared to the front. So this one should be slightly more towards the front. The hardscape placement from the very front of the tank should be mixed. It should never end at the same distance from the glass. And I love the blue background, which I usually don't, but in this it works. I'm only going to talk about this tank because of one very specific reason. I'll be honest with you, I don't like the hardscape placement, I don't like the plants very much, but if I'm correct, which is difficult to say from just a single image, but you have successfully managed to do an Utricularia carpet. So that in itself is worth a mention. Not usual. It's a bit extreme and I like it. The rocks are too flat, so I would either put another rock up here or just replace some of this, having this one bigger, maybe, whatever. Just get rid of the straight line. And the more important thing, use plants. Like this tank could be really nice, but those 5 pots of Anubias, that's not much, and it's very much concentrated in one part of the tank. This is something that comes up every single year. Actually, guys, please don't show the name for this one visible because I don't want to humiliate anyone, but it's important to talk about this. Now, we don't have the full size of the tank, but it says 60 centimeters and there are angelfish in it. Maybe these are Congo tetras. These kind of fish, they need a lot more space to live. Now, especially angelfish, I always say at least 200 liters. A fully developed angelfish is about this high or wide or however you want to call it. Please educate yourself, do research about what fish fits your aquarium size before choosing, because this is actually very bad for the fish themselves. And if you are in this hobby, you should care about the fish. This is how a normal tank at home should look like. If you're not building competition tanks and stuff like that, if you want something natural in your home, and this is perfect. What I would suggest, not for the layout itself, but for the tank, put in a background. The wall behind the aquarium is way too busy and it distracts from the view of your tank. I have a sideways. You're looking at the same tank, right? So, yeah, that's it. The main idea, having a pile of rocks, a bit of wood in the middle, which comes out of the tank. I think there could be a bit more transition from the rook to the wood. So I see that you've used a few pieces of roots coming across the rocks, but I think some bigger chunks are missing. Okay, I know I'm not stupid. I know that I could download the image and then rotate and so on, but that would disrupt the whole recording of the video. So that's why I'm looking at like this. Another good example of lots of things done right and a few things could be improved. So this is why we are here. The only problem with this tank as it is it's a block. Uncovered soil, fix that. Might just be some time for the grass to grow around. All this, it looks like a brick. I don't have depth, I don't have playfulness on the top. All this can be fixed very easily, so you are on the right track. Don't worry about it. Try to move the hardscape in depth. Don't have everything in one strict line. Also, the same goes for the height. Have this piece of wood come up a bit, then this is perfect as it is, and this size with this side can come up a bit as well. Do the same with the plants, with the trimming. Try to somewhat follow that shape that you create. I wouldn't change a thing. I just want to show this thing to you guys as well. It's 12 liters, so this is a tiny tank. Having fish in 12 liters, well, regulations are different in every country. I don't want you guys fighting over if this is okay or not. It just it could use a bit more depth than height, because that's what you've been going for with the layout. That's visible. You are trying to create many layers going towards the back, but you don't have enough space. You have enough layers with the hardscape, and you don't have space for the plants. That's very visible here in the middle. Other than that, I really like the layout. I love this plant, which I have no clue what this is. In here, I would put either some grass or some stem plants. We have these type of layouts every year, and there is a reason for that. It just looks good. Density will do a lot of good for the stems in the back. Try to bring them down here. I think, yeah, there are some of the stems already in there, but have it like in this area, and then this on the top, and then this coming on the other side. You can see some of the bottom parts of the stem plants. Do something that plant something in front so it's hidden. There is no gap in there. I could say that the piece of wood are too much in a straight line. You could play around with moving this middle one a bit towards the back, so there is depth difference in the hardscape. But even as it is, it works really well. Okay, this is an interesting idea, and I don't really understand the purpose of it, but I want to show this to you. This is tree aquarium. The only reason I can think of this is having different types of animals that wouldn't fit in one tank. The layout itself, I like it. It's very wild. It's very like going underwater in nature and seeing stuff. Really interesting. Please, if you're actually watching this video, then let us know in the comments what's the reason for splitting the tank in three. It's good as it is. My only recommendation, if you want to go to competitions, and you should, because it's a very nice layout, learn how to take better photos. This very much looks like a photo taken with a phone, and then the phone itself has processed it way too heavily. I would go for some smaller fish to preserve the ratios of the layout, because you've done a great job with the plants. So everything is perfectly sized, everything is very nicely trimmed. I love how you have the moss on one side of the wood, like it would happen in nature and in a forest. So all those details, it's very nice. The size of the fish throws it out of balance a bit, but yeah, nice work. I mentioned this before, I love this when someone has so many different plants, and being able to blend them and trim them and nurture them to look so natural. The only thing a bit sticking out for me is the Vallisneria on the left. This is a bit out of place compared to everything else. Something weird is going on with your soil. It might not be the case, but this is a good time to talk about this. So I'm sorry if it's not actually right for this tank, especially if you have a big tank. And obviously you don't want to throw away 4, 5, 6 bags of soil after using it for one setup. If your soil is not a year old, then you can reuse it. Always have fresh soil on top, at least 1, preferably 2 centimeters. This will prevent the soil clogging up and having lots of debris. I don't see any issues in the tank at the moment, but there might be issues coming from that. This one is very much not ordinary. It shouldn't work, but it still does. Hardscape is way too vertical, so everything is very much straight up, but still for some reason I like it a lot. I love how the rocketite reaches the top and it actually probably goes out slightly. I could imagine using a bit more plants on the rocks. I don't really see what kind of plant it is attached to the rock, but I would use some kind of moss, probably Cardia. For this kind of project I would use more. I can't really say why, but I like this. This just works with the big plants coming across, the piece of wood coming across, the crypts on the bottom. It's very wild, and yeah, I like this one. It could be in a better shape as an aquarium, especially a planted aquarium. So the bottom seems to be very dirty. The plant health on the bottom is far from good. This tank, it needs a good trim. That's all I can say, not much more. What kind of plant is that even if a 60 piece filled with it so much? This is a great example of a very nice hardscape, but I would recommend using a lot more plants and more colors. The whole thing is very dark at the moment. The rocks, the wood, the placement, the shapes, everything fits very nice. Just throw another 50 pots of plants in there. A lot of people think when they get into aquascaping, how long can you actually keep a tank like this running? Depends on your dedication. From time to time you need to replant certain plants. In here probably some replacement of soil would be needed, because you can see that there is soil on top or mixed into the carpet. So that I would actually take into consideration of taking out the whole part here. Usually you can take it out as one piece, just cut it around on the edges, and then removing about 1 centimeter of soil and putting in fresh 1 centimeter of soil. As for the layout itself, this rock wall is a bit too dominant. All the rest is fine. The plants seem to be very healthy. And straight away, the other end of the scale, 6 years versus 11 days. Something that is good to talk about here is use more plants. I've mentioned many times that open soil can create problems. Now, obviously, if it's a fresh planting, then you're gonna have some open areas in the soil. That's perfectly normal, but try to make it much more dense. And by that time, the soil is gonna start to break up on the top from the floor. Another thing, not 100% sure, but I think this plant is not an aquarium plant. So that won't survive for too long. It's just very pleasing to the eye to look at this, because everything is in the right place. It's a bit towards one side. The whole thing is in about 1/3 of the tank. And then tilting the wood this way, it adds to that placement. All the plants look really nice. Everything is very healthy, but this ball shape of trimming is way too strict. Nature doesn't work like that. Just let the plants come out in some places. Maybe even stick in another few pieces of wood, because the ones that you have in there that are sticking out from this plant mass, those work really well. Hi Tommy, please roast me. Well, I wouldn't call it a roast because there's not too many things wrong with this tank. 2 things I would highlight in this one. First of all, the front, the soil should be flat. And the other one, which might be coming already, stem plants all around here. And that will finish this layout. I have 2 things to highlight here. It's good to have some kind of very easy carpeting plant just thrown into the sand or gravel area as well to make the tank a bit more natural. And that's something that's being taken into consideration here. But now this is too much. It should be just a few pieces all around, and then it's going to start to grow, but then you have to trim it. But having clean gravel here and clean gravel here and then a bunch of carpeting plants in between, that just doesn't make sense. And the other thing is, all the plants are very nice and healthy, but I see too much of the bottom. Plant things in here to cover that up. I don't want to see the bottom of the grass. I don't want to see the bottom of the stem plants. Other than that, very nice work. Rock placement. Try to use rocks aligned the same way. So this one is laying on its side. This one is the right side up. The basic idea I like a lot. And actually, if you decide to follow my advice and you sort out all the rocks, build it up here as well. So I don't want to see this, whatever this is, the pot of the plant on the top. Hide it with the pieces of rocks. Just have it starting here and then come up to completely the top and let it run down again on the other side. I'm getting more and more attracted to these type of paludariums. The water part could be a bit cleaner. So that's a common issue with paludariums, that the bottom is too dark and it's not filtered properly. That I don't like. The build itself and the plants on the top, that's very nice. Seems like a very long tank. It's probably a shallow tank and it's very nicely used. I love how you've broken up the layout here. So most people would have gone for a triangular like this, but having this small space, not completely empty, so it's not two separate islands, but just having this U-shape cut out in the middle, it's very nice. I see that you have some stems of, this could be Ludwigia. I would either take those out or create a complete stem background here. But just having these 2 or 3 stems, that doesn't make too much sense. Hi Tommy, I love your Iwagumi aquascapes and videos. This is my first attempt at one. Thanks for everything. Well, you are welcome. But please go back to those videos. Try to remember all we've taught you about flow, how it all goes across. The rock placement doesn't consider any of that. You have the right pieces, you can build a nice layout with the hardscape you have in there. You just need to rethink the placement of the rocks. Well, as you say it yourself in your email, it's a bit overgrown, but that's it. It just needs a good trim. Other than that, it's nice, and actually it shouldn't be that nice. What I mean by that is the hardscape on the left side is a bit overwhelming for me compared to the right side, but it still works for some reason. What I would recommend is softening this effect. I would actually use moss on here and then use Anubias and Bucephalandra here on the bottom. Like the idea. I'm assuming you are new to the hobby. This piece of wood is very, very nice, but now it's completely flat. Why lay it down on the bottom? Why not have it standing up like this? That's it. There's a lot more you can do. You can add rocks as well on the bottom or other pieces of wood. Let's assume this is all you have on hand and you have no choice of getting anything else. Just give it some angle and it makes a whole lot of difference. And also, if you do that, then remove this and move it in here. So this part gets more dense, this stays empty, because once you have the hardscape coming across, you don't want to hide plants here behind it. This line is too straight. There should be plants sticking out from it, and the whole thing is too clean. While obviously we are trying to avoid algae in the tanks, some algae is part of it. Let it go a bit. Don't be too harsh on the cleaning as you are right now, and let the plants have more area for freedom. This is a very nice typical home tank. It's a simple setup, nothing special, but it's good to look at. But I will never understand this, and this goes for many other tanks as well. Why have a single piece of stem plant? Just remove it, have this part clean, and try to nurture nice stem plant background here. Probably I would trim this. This is also a stem plant here in the front, which is not a problem, but it's a lot of work to keep clean. And then you have a bigger opening here where I put probably some kind of cryptocoryne, because that would fill that gap. Hi, I tried to implement Tommy's suggestions from the September 2025 review of it. I don't remember the exact issue, but something says that there was not enough plants in it. It's quite good to look at now. Only issue at the moment is the whole structure being very, very strict. Could be this could go almost up to the top, and then a piece of rock could be out here a bit, and then another piece could be out here a bit. So giving it some variation. Another one of those that I just show you. Few things to pick at, because that's why you're here. 2 stems of Rotala sticking out for no reason, and this is a bit too dark for me. Probably there are things here, but this should be cleaned up a bit so more light can reach down. Here's another one that I just like as it is. Wouldn't change a thing. Could use a cleanup, especially with the sand. Some stuff is developing on the bottom. When I look at this first, I like it, and then I start to see problems when I start looking into details. I don't like this. Coming out to the front with the plants, either do it across the whole tank or do it like on this side and then this side and having sand in the middle. That's fine. But having just this small patch, there's no reason for it. And another thing is, again, rock placement. These ones, even though they're barely visible, those distract everything around them. Everything else looks really nice. And then I see these textures just going the other way. I would replace these rocks or put some plants in there. This as well, small thing, but try to do something about this edge of the wood. Either break it up so it's not a flat cut, or put some plant on it to hide the flat cut. This just looks nice. Nothing to add. I can't wait to do more and more of these here at Green Aqua as well. Have the wood coming like this. Have the wood coming like this. All this makes perfect sense. Even this. And then there is this one. If this is part of this, you can cut it down. You can hide the cuts. This gap would be too big. So it's important that something is there, but it should be in balance, in connection with everything else in the tank. All the rest is very nice, like these small pieces having the gap in between, this one pointing towards the back, these are pointing towards the same place. This could have the very same effect, but it's just overweighing these ones. So this should be the strong flow on this side, and this goes against it. It's a good example of how to give yourself a lot of work. This tank is only 3 months old and it's already really wild. This is going to be a nightmare to maintain. But if you have the energy to do it and if you have the willingness to do it, it's very nice. It's going to be a great tank. So this is a very nice hardscape, but I can't see it because of the plants. So yeah, give it a good trim. Left side should be trimmed like this. Now you have so many plants that you can easily fill out this gap as well. This side should be trimmed like this, but I would make this piece of rock much more visible. And also these leaves are too big for this layout. Great example on how to connect your aquarium with the space that it's in. I don't know if any of the plants that are behind it are in the aquarium or growing out of it, or they are just behind, but I love this look. I love it when the whole room is connected with the tank, or not the whole room, but some of it. I think not enough people are using this, except for single stem plant in the middle. Again, but I'm not gonna rant about that now. It's clearly visible that you are very good with keeping plants happy. That's all I can say. It's an insanely nice field of Rotala, probably blood red or HRA. Yeah, it's nice. I would prefer a bit more hardscape, but that's just me. And that was the last one for today. So thank you guys for sending me your thanks. I hope I did not offend anyone, but I assume that you were ready for it. If I did, I'm really glad that we have a lot of people building such nice aquariums all around the world. I hope that you have actually learned from all these advices. Besides trying to build your best layout and your nicest tank. Try to provide great environment for your animals. If you missed out now, then follow us on social media, because that's where we always announce these kind of videos. So that's how you get a chance to send in your work as well for me to evaluate. See you next year, maybe. Goodbye.